Hello, colleagues, friends I haven't met yet. Welcome to my talk. My name is Erik Tveitnes. I'd like to talk to you about no APIs in Ireland, driving product growth through partner ecosystems. I think all great talks need to start with a 17th century poet. And for those who aren't up with their poetry, here we've got John Donne. John Donne in 1624 wrote a poem, No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. When I read this, it took me a few times to understand, but it really talks to the interconnectability of man or APIs. I think John Donne was a bit of a futurist because what they're really saying is API on its own is only an internal optimization for a business. But an API acting in a network with all the other APIs in a tapestry of connection and interoperability gives great benefits for all of us. And that's what we're really striving to do. My favorite example that I like to use to explain this is Slack and Zoom, two tools that we probably all use every day. Think about it. From Slack, I can go in there and start a Zoom meeting. But these are two separate businesses that have a shared customer base. In some ways, they compete with each other for the same market share. But they would have had a boardroom decision and looked at what are the advantages and the disadvantages of partnering with each other. And what they've come up with is a solution that makes a stickier customer, a customer that wants to use both tools and will be more likely to stick with the tools that they have because they work great together. Two tools integrating to make a better product. And that's what makes me really excited. As I said, I'm from a company called REA Group, operating in 3 companies, and it's a global digital business. Its most famous brand you're probably aware of is realestate.com.au. It is an advertising portal for properties in Australia that has 3 times the number of views to its nearest competitor. They boast 12 million active monthly users, or about 60% of the adult population looking at property at least every month. I'm from a part of the business we call Ignite, or a customer platform. And when we say customers, we're talking about real estate agents and real estate agencies. And when we talk about consumers, we're typically talking about vendors buying or selling their home. Ignite goes out with a strategy of channel of choice. We have our own experiences, a web and native experience that real estate agents can use. And we also have an API channel, a way that customers can receive their data via an API. This spawns the PropTech map in Australia. PropTech, you may or may not have heard of, is the younger sibling of FinTech. Similarly, the younger cousin, Contech, construction technology. PropTech Association put out this map in 2019, and it had around 180 businesses operating in Australia. Today, we're at about 500 PropTech businesses operating in Australia, providing software services for anyone in the property market. REA integrate with many of these partners as a way of advertising to them. What we find is customers use REA or realestate.com.au as a supplier of advertising, but only one supplier of advertising. That spawns the need for CRMs, or central systems, operating systems that a real estate agent will use to centralize their data across all of the portals. This leaves us with an architecture at real estates that looks something like this. In the purple at the top, we have our lines of business. We have our residential, rental, commercial, and developer lines of business. And they produce APIs that we push out to market. Those same teams will then build features with our owned web and app experiences, and they'll provide the same data to the PropTech partners. The customers down the bottom are the same real estate agent customers who are using either their own PropTech solution off the shelf or using the native REA web and app experiences. We find different use cases. Customers prefer to use a PropTech business when it comes to leads and listing advertising, but may prefer our own experiences when we're talking about campaign reporting or purchasing. This talk really aims to take you through some of the pros and cons of what we're doing and some of the decisions we've made over the years. And this is one of the things that I've changed my thinking on a bit recently. And this is that when we built APIs initially, we built one endpoint that was used by both external parties and our internal teams when building out our Ignite experiences. On the left, we've got some of our reasons, and they include it's cheaper to implement a single endpoint. A team could only think about what they're building once and how to make it available for everyone else. It's a single thing to maintain for them as well. When they want to change something or grow it, or they want to build it and test it, they can build it and test it within our own experience and then release it to the external market to use. And the most important benefit, I think, is openness and trust. I can walk into a partner meeting, put my hand on heart and say the exact same data we provide in our APIs is what we use in our own experiences. This shows to prop tech markets that we're not coming to steal their market share. We're not coming to try and cut their lunch. Instead, we're giving choice to our shared customers of how they do business with us. It's been a very effective tool for that. 6 months ago, this diagram would have been leaning a little bit the other way. Now, I think I'm starting to lean to separating your external and your internal endpoints. And this all comes down to evolution. How do we evolve our APIs going forward? Some of the reasons why I think this is allowing federating teams to test and learn quickly. By having separate endpoints, our teams are able to change our APIs because they own the front and the back end and move forward. And then they're able to do versioning strategies for the external market and slowly release features in big bangs for partners to use. We're also finding there are different use cases for our internal and external users. Our internal users of our APIs want to power websites. That means request response to display data on the screen. Our external partners instead want a copy of our data at real time. And our current endpoints mean they need a polling strategy where they ask us a question every 2 minutes, do you have any data for me? This is inefficient and costly. And solutions like webhooks, I think, work better in this space. There's also control questions. We get better control of what we release when we're looking at PI data or sensitive information. We have the ability to make decisions on what to release to partners and what to release internally when we have separate endpoints. And lastly, it's easier to evolve. And more importantly, it's easier to retire our endpoints when we control internal and external, as we're not waiting on partners to make updates before we release something. Partnerships and relationships are all there to help adoption of our systems. And I think if we get partnerships right, we can get early adoption and feedback. That is to go out and excite our partners and say, look at what we're releasing. Please work with us to make this a success. Get feedback to who hit the problem and hit it right. If you fail to do this, you get little to no adoption of your APIs. You really got to find other ways to incentivize adoption of your APIs. We use things like cross-promotion opportunities to make it a success. Down the bottom, I've got a headline where REA Group partnered with the MRI software to provide an integration. This did two things. It really formed a better relationship with MRI and got them on board to work with us, but it also got other prop tech businesses to ring us the next day and say, hey, how do I get a cross-promotion? How do I reach the same shared customer base? Can we do something together? So this really lit some fire in the marketplace and got us all working together. If partnerships fail, you end up in the blame game where two partners start pointing at each other and say, hey, it's a bit of their fault. No, it's a bit of their fault. That's not good for the customer. If you do partnerships well, you get more opportunities to create shared experiences. That is to give the users a great experience in one tool or one system where they don't have to jump around. You can provide them your product value in another person's system where the customer wants to work. If you fail to do this, you're giving the customer a bad experience. You're creating them siloed experiences where they have to log into 1, 2, 3, or 4 different websites to do what they need to do. This is a way to lose customers. And if you get partnerships work, you enable innovation outside of your own business. Right now, you're limited to how many squads you have and how many features you can build. But with partnerships, you're really opening up your data to the outside world to innovate on and to build products for your shared customers, meaning they'll be stickier customers for longer. These are some examples pulled out of a slide pack of what I go and present to our partners to try and talk to them of the benefits. At the top, they talk to the win-win-win. I think this is essential. Finding the win for REA, finding the win for a partner, and finding the win for the customer. This kind of message is all about transparency and trying to find the benefit and the right market fit for our products. Secondly, the second diagram is from a similar pack where I talk about what are we trying to do today and what are our plans for the future. This goes back to talking about openness and trust with our partners, about how can we deliver new things and what are our long-term goals. Because if they don't trust you, they won't come along for the ride. But if you can clearly articulate and show with diagrams and pictures what is in it for both of us, you get a lot better job at getting adoption. Here's one of the checklists that I run through to get this adoption. As I just stated, the win-win-win is absolutely essential. You've got to find that, otherwise your market is not going to get, your product's not going to get the adoption that you want it to do. You got to think about what is in it for them to integrate. What are they giving up to do your integration with you? You got to think about who your decision makers are. You got to convince your managers, but more importantly, you got to convince the developers inside that partner business, because those managers you convince will go to their most trusted developer and ask, is this feasible? Is this something we want to do? So to excite that developer and show your systems easy to integrate with and easy to use, you'll get them on board. You got to sell the story. You got to speak like a human. And by this, I mean, you got to, and if you can go into a partner meeting and not mention the word API, you've had a bloody good meeting. Really, you want to talk to diagrams and show the value of how the data is going to show up for that shared customer. How is the customer eyeball going to move around the different experiences? Speak like a human and show pictures over API specs. You also want to be transparent. To be transparent and get trust, you want to publish your outages. You want to wear the egg on your face when you have it, and you want to publish your roadmaps. Show where you're going. Get people to understand that these people are here to do business, and they're here to do it in an open and transparent manner. There is room for all of us to grow and do a better job. And we want to be easy to work with. We want to take feedback, but also importantly, we want to implement that feedback. We want to show it's a two-way street and we're not just asking people to do work for us. And we want to minimize our breaking changes. This really comes back to exciting and building trust with those developers who are going to be the ultimate yes or no if your product is going to get adopted or not. Spawning a competitor or cultivating innovation. I found when you go into a business and you start talking about APIs and products as APIs, you run into some headwinds within that business. REA, we're no different. We've spent 20 years building websites and apps amazingly. We've built design systems and integration platforms and infrastructure platforms and platforms on platforms to optimize the way we build websites. So our teams aren't thinking around partnerships and external systems. I call this red circle a pizza slice, and this is a pizza cutter. It does the damage, or these are some of the common things that come up when people are hesitant about looking for partnerships. I want to take you through a couple of them. The first one is our OKRs. At the moment, I think they're not set as well as they could be. They target monthly active users in our own channels, but that disincentivizes our product teams for releasing data on our API channel because they think they're going to lose views on our own systems if they make a partner system more compelling. But that's not true. Our product is still sticky. Customers are still advertising properties. So eyeballs on our own systems aren't essential. The speed to market is often a big one. When a team owns a front end and owns a back end, they can give clear estimates that are quick to market and they can test and learn as they go. A partner ecosystem takes more coordination with an external partner and has to find time in their roadmap. It's often slower and leads to friction when teams are thinking about it. Lack of partner system knowledge. We know our own systems like the back of our hand. What we don't know is the outside world or what our partner systems can offer. So getting involved with your partnerships and getting diagrams and screenshots early can help convince your teams that partner systems are the way to go. It can be difficult to measure success. We all know product managers love analytics and they love numbers to point at to prove what they're doing is the right thing. Measuring success in an API is difficult. I'm not sure if anyone's done it well or right in the market. Measuring API requests is not the way to go. This is something we've got to fix and solve if we really want to get people on board. And how to evolve a product once it's live. How do you ask a partner to adopt the version 2, the version 3, the version 4 of the API? What is the benefit in there for them? So that evolution is a trickier question when you're doing a partnered ecosystem. Last thing I want to talk about is platform capabilities. When we operate Ignite API, we run it as a platform. We look at our API producers, our features teams, and we've got about 15 squads building APIs and web and app features. And then we talk about our API consumers, and these are our partners. The diagram on the right has all the different capabilities we think about to make it easy for our feature teams to worry about their feature and not about the tech, and easy for our API consumers to get onboarding with us. To guide our API producers, on the left-hand side, I've got our guiding principles when it comes to API design. Here, I want everyone to be customer-focused. Your API consumer should be at the heart of what you build. We want to really make sure we're hitting the product market fit as we need. The 5-5-5 rule. I'm sure you're all aware of this one, and this is there to excite the developers. Consistency. I always say that a suite of APIs should all look like they were built by the same person. And this is where you leverage things like API standards and linting docs to help control this. But you really want consistency because that enables predictability. And when you've got predictability, you've got an easy API system to use. And lastly, how can we not forget in this day and age, privacy and security? You need it as a first-class citizen, and you need everyone thinking about it from day dot. That's the only way to scale your APIs and get them out into the world safely. In summary, no API is an island, and interconnectability is essential, providing customer value. To make that rich tapestry where your APIs connect with the outside world and get what John Donne was thinking about, you really need it. Customer expectations are evolving and becoming more complex. Customers expect Slack and Zoom to work together. They expect your Apple Watch to help you pay for things. APIs power these things, and this is what consumers are expecting as we go forward. Partnerships also defend your market share by creating stickier customers. When a customer is sticky, they're less likely to move to one of your competitors. And this is what we should all be targeting. And lastly, customer eyeballs in your experience are not essential. Product value is. If you start fighting over eyeballs with your partners, you're going to lose them and you're going to start playing the blame game again. Instead, think, is my product more valuable or less valuable after I've done an integration, rather than do I have the specific eyeballs? Thank you all for listening. I hope you've learned something. If you'd like to reach any questions, please contact me on LinkedIn. Happy to talk about APIs any days of the week. Thank you. Bye.